Welcome to the Gravel Lot, the place where bikes are for everyone.
The Gravel Lot podcast is presented by Be Free Ride Bikes Apparel, providing a fully customized cycling apparel experience to provide you and your team the attention to detail and personal touch that you deserve.
And also brought to you by Grimpour Brothers Coffee, offering handmade coffee roasted weekly in small batches to give you the finest quality coffee to start your day. Choose their subscription service and earn your free bag of coffee today.
Also by BioWheels Fit Studio and Workshop in Cincinnati, Ohio, offering you a full host of bike fitting services intended to provide the cycling enthusiast with the most efficient, comfortable, and sustainable bike fit they have ever had.
And by the Ritual All Natural Skincare, providing small batch, handmade chamois cream custom blended for your team or shop right here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Contact us today to learn more.
And by Hand Up Gloves. Great gear, better times. Providing a wide range of apparel for bikes, snow sports, and golf in multiple designs and fits to let your personality shine.
Our goal with the Gravel Lot is to inspire cyclists of all stripes to ride bikes, share their story, and have fun. We love all bikes and anyone who wants to ride them. So no matter where you sit on the spectrum of bikes, we'll always have a place for you in the Gravel Lot.
And now, the hosts of TGL, John Woolry and Doug McClintock.
Hey, hello again, and welcome back. And Doug is dancing, I guess, to start this. Welcome back to the Gravel Lot, the place for all things bike. And no matter what ride you are on this week, next week, whatever week, you're always going to have a place here in the Gravel Lot with myself, John, and Doug, who finally stopped dancing. For those of you listening on the audio, you're missing his opening dance moves. We are glad that you found us, whether you're a new Pebble or an existing Pebble who's been with us for a long time. Welcome. We are so happy you're here. We're glad that you found us. We hope you stick around the whole time. submit your questions, tell us what you think, subscribe, get the notifications, get all that stuff, and join us every week for this live 6:30 p.m. Tuesday night thing that we've been doing. Or just keep subscribing to the podcast because that's cool too. We've been this
whatever you want.
Yeah.
Consume this content in whichever way feels appropriate for you.
Yes. Or you can follow us on social media. You can follow us on YouTube. You can follow us all these different places. Go to thegravellot.com to get all kinds of content, all kinds of new shows we've been working on, and really putting a lot of additional things out there for you guys with some really, really talented people. Or if you want to become a super pebble, or do we want to call them boulders? Like what is
No. Let's stay. No.
Super pebbles. I think I like that. You can become one of our Patreon supporters, and at whatever level you want to do, and get some access to some exclusive stuff that I think Doug has some more details on.
Yeah, and I don't want to say or, I want to say and, right? Do all the things and go to our Patreon and become a supporter, because we're producing in like unique content for all of y'all there, whether you're, pledging 50 cents, $1, whatever. We just want you to get an insight into what's going on. So exclusive videos of our reactions to previous shows. And after we've like mulled them over, we're doing a lot of that. Lists and information about upcoming guests. So you can start ruminating on questions and get fired up before we start dropping all that stuff. And also we're going to be doing AMAs. We've been collecting some questions, so get those AMA questions into us, and those AMAs will be released on our Patreon. You can do some of that question asking if you want, and maybe even get your pretty voice on the show by calling our voicemail, which is 513-400-5577. I'm really glad you picked an easy number for me to remember, because I can think about it.
I sorted through a lot of them, and every single one that I looked at, I was like, there's no way Doug's going to be able to remember that each week, or even say it correctly if I put it in the show notes for you to read.
It's taken me 6 years to know the work number for the office. So, and it's 621 bike. All right. Like try to do that.
Right.
So
where do I work again?
Yeah, exactly. So make sure to get us 513-400-5577. Leave us a voicemail. Let us know what you want us to espouse upon, and we'll do that in AMAs and answer that on Patreon. So without any further ado, John, how's your ride been this week?
It was good. Amanda and I took a vacation. Like we left the house.
Nice.
We went to Pleasant Shade, Tennessee, which is like 70 miles do my directions, northeast of Nashville. So it's legit middle of nowhere. Like there was a point where I had service that was 3G. I was like, that's neat. I haven't seen that icon in a long time.
Nope. Nobody's got vaccines there then.
Well,
there's no 5G chip in them.
Interesting piece. There were more people that were following rules way out in the country.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had stayed at a beautiful little cabin. The owners of the property had 2 goats, 3 dogs. The goats came into the cabin on the first day, and were begging for Cheetos from Amanda.
Sounds like a good
that
vacation.
Immediately made her whole trip, because she loves goats, wants goats, all of the things goats. So, it was good. It was nice to just have the change of scenery. And then we went to Nashville for one night and one day, which was the complete antithesis of being in the country, and that there is no coronavirus in Nashville. The Broadway area was like packed with people that, I mean, clearly, like, I get it. Everybody wants to get back to normal, and everybody wants to have their things restored and go to the bars and go see music and all that stuff. But for being away from it, just in general, for so long, and like being really careful and being hypersensitive to all of that, and then being out in the middle of nowhere, and then going to the area where there's literally like 11 or 12,000 people on a block. Yeah, it's and like they're all partying, and I mean, it is like spring break. So that was very abrupt for us, but we discovered that if we went and did things outside of downtown and then came back at 8:30 in the morning, nobody there. So all we had to do was just get up early, because they were not feeling too well in the morning. So good. And then followed that today with both of us got our second second shots. So if I am degrading as the show goes on, you guys know why. If you guys see me sweating or just hear me get really quiet towards the end of the show, you know that I've either fallen asleep or I've given up. But I'm not expecting any of that. We didn't have a really big reaction, either of us, to the first one. So
that'll be tonight at midnight. So
awesome.
Enjoy that. So that's
awesome. Something to look forward to. How about you, Doug?
It's been good. Trying to get things sorted out around the house. We have like false spring right now where it's gorgeous. And everyone, I just can't desperately want to work on the yard. I know at the beginning of pandemic last year, I was like, I'm going to work on the yard and do yard stuff. And I'm really ready. John bought this thing that dethatches, and he like loaned it to me, and so I'm ready to dethatch the other spots of the yard, but I can't do that until it freezes this week, so that's whatever. But I did ride my mountain bike today because the mayor of Cincinnati announced some stuff about parks and bike infrastructure here, and I went to a press conference today and showed up my mountain bike to put it behind him, so like, hey, mountain bikes. And it was just really awesome because, like most places, with this massive stimulus bill that is going out, there's money coming into communities.
Lots.
And these communities are trying to figure out what to do with it. We're getting like almost $300 million in the Cincinnati, specifically city of Cincinnati.
Right.
So they're trying to put some serious money behind trails. And so not only, natural surface trails, which there's a lot of money for at Mount Airy, which has really been a place that is close to my heart. But, there's also paved trails and extensions for all that. So it was exciting to be at the press conference today. And I got to say, I was really stoked because I'm no longer the president of Cora. There's this beautiful moment where the mayor's like, well, why don't we get one of the people from Cora to do that? And he turns around and he looks at Brad Linder, who's the president of Parks, who is also a member of Cora and on our advisory board, who looks at me and points at me. And I looked to my left. I pointed at the new president. I was like, nope, Liv, this one's for you. I don't got to do this no more. And it was perfect. She went in and she parked it, answering an important question about what trails are going to get built, because we don't really know yet. And it's just exciting because we're going to build stuff that matters for the community, whether that's hike, bike, multi-use, bike only, hike only, whatever it needs to be. That's going to be a process with the community. So it's exciting to see that energy. And that's kind of what we all want in spring. It's regrowth and all that stuff. So
in a lot of that stuff is things that Cora has been working to and towards for two and a half decades now of laying the groundwork, of even just getting natural surface trails. But then you and I were talking about before recording today about the kind of proving your worth to city government and to regional government. And for a long time, it was Cora desperately trying to get local government to just understand that they existed, let alone tell their story. But now that a lot of that work has been done, you can be a part of these things, and you're considered before you actually have to go make your selling point. So you're being included as the natural surface trail advocates before a lot of that stuff is decided immediately when that money comes in. So the fact that you're now part of that discussion is amazing.
And so I would encourage everybody, get with your local communities and find out where they're planning on spending that money at parks and trails. And like, if we haven't learned anything over the pandemic, like outdoor recreation is extremely important to our mental health. So get with your local communities and see if you can squeeze off $100K or $50,000 to seed a project, whatever you can do. I mean, I think it's worth it. So I'm super stoked about that. But we have gone on way too long, but it's good because we haven't seen each other. You've been on vacation and whatnot. Yes. But I now want to make sure that we bring along our very good and dear friend for this week. You know that we've been having returning visitors back because, we just love people that we get to have back always. And Tyler, who has now joined us, his last visit is right at the beginning of when everything got shut down. John had lost his job. Everything had gone freaking haywire for sure. And we all had hopes that we were all going to get to hang out with the families for Easter or whatever. And that was
silly, naive 2020 us.
Yes, correct. and here's the thing. A lot has changed, not only for John and I, but also for Tyler in the past year. And so we are really excited to find out about all those things and hear about what he's been up to and just get to spend some time hanging out with our friend here in the Gravel Lot. So Tyler, welcome back to the Gravel Lot.
Doug, John, good to see you guys. I feel like this is the Gravel Lot equivalent of MTV Cribs these days. Just like
what do you have?
Part of it, yes. You get a little. You get a little.
Office.
Yeah, you get a little snippet of your office looks good.
Fridge. Can you take us to your fridge? What do you have in your fridge? We need to see which beverages are lined up.
Athletic, Dom Perignon champagne. We got the e-bike back here. We're set up. We're ready to go.
I love it. Love it. Well, dude, we're super stoked to get to join us. I think there's a lot to cover tonight. You've been busy. Your like past pandemic has not been a quiet one. You've been up to a lot of stuff. So how in the heck did you end up making this lateral move? Because when we last talked to you, you were in Dallas, and now you are in the home of Walmart mountain biking superlative,
not Dallas,
Bentonville, Arkansas, not Dallas. So how did this move happen for y'all?
Yeah, so it was about I guess 1 year ago. I think March 10th. It was like the day after my birthday that the whole world kind of shut down. And during that time, Lauren, my girlfriend, and I were in Dallas, and we really loved the community that we had there. It was a great home base. I always tell people, like, there's so much good food. There's so many things to do. You can get anywhere in the world right there from Dallas. And that we definitely loved our time there. But when all of the benefits of living in a big city, the bars, the restaurants, the sporting events, et cetera, when those all got closed, there is some good riding around Dallas, but it's something that, we started to take a look at our lives and realize, we're working for 8 hours a day, 7.5, 8 hours a day, but then the rest of the time we're on our bikes, and for us, we were outside and we were really looking for a place that provided that, not only just, an opportunity to be outside, but then also, just kind of opened up some doors for us. And we're fortunate enough to both work remotely. So the world was kind of our oyster when it comes to trying to figure out a place to live.
So in acknowledging that, and I think a lot of us now that have been working remote or had the experience of worked remote and have since gone back, have probably run that stream of consciousness through their head of, because there's rumblings that my current position might, like, they saved over $1 million in the last year of not having everybody in the office, and now there's
John's moving to the place that he talked about at the beginning of the opening of the show.
Right.
He's moving to the middle of nowhere, Tennessee.
You need to know where to find me. But like, starting to kind of wrap your head around that is something that I think all of us have at least tinkered with over the last year. But for you and Lauren, how did you guys even start of the world legitimately being your oyster and like starting to narrow those things down? Because there's a lot of things that go into a move, period. But when you have outdoor lifestyles like you guys, I assume that's like one of the first kind of filters to that Zillow search.
Yeah, is there a filter on Zillow that you can tag that just says outdoor lifestyle and
TM trademarked? It's done. Zillow, we're contacting you tomorrow.
Perfect.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think that was a big thing for us. Of course, still wanting to race cyclocross at a high level, being able to, being somewhere that we could travel at least for the next few years and get to races pretty easy, or events. That was a big thing too. As much as we love some of the places on the West Coast, it does make it a really long trip. And I have a lot of respect for the racers that do make that trip, especially when most of the cross racing is on the East Coast. Yeah. So for us, we knew that, we wanted to be kind of centrally located, didn't want to go to real winters like you guys have up there in Cincinnati. So we were talking about this. Yeah,
pretend winter.
exactly. Yeah. So we just wanted to kind of like get a little, a couple pics for the gram, all bundled up a couple days and then be good with it. So, those kind of, once you put all those factors together, it comes down to a really narrow list of places. And we just happened to be passing through actually last summer when we were visiting some friends and family in Michigan, and just happened to stay here. And I had been here as a bike racer and living in the area in Texas. And we were just kind of like, oh man, what about this place? It's definitely got outdoors. We've got friends that live here. It's a city that is having a lot of investment put into it right now. And there seems to be some things going on for sure in this Northwest Arkansas kind of bubble. So yeah, we figured, hey, the worst we can do is try it out for a year, and then if we don't like it, then we still hopefully at that time have the flexibility to move where we want to. So yeah,
That's cool. Like, it is neat to be able to approach it that way because you have that flexibility. But one of the things that has to be inflexible in that situation is the navigation of the world was locked the F down. Like, how did you approach the thought process and like all the anxiety and challenges of moving during a pandemic? And like, were there any were you in your feels about that? Like, because I would have been like, how do I meet new people? Where do I find the good coffee? Like, it would have really given me massive anxiety. How did y'all deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of back up a little bit, we had actually thought about moving in May of 2020. That was kind of our original timeline. And
Pre-pandemic?
Pre-pandemic, yeah.
Oh,
We were like,
really?
hey, let's maybe think about a early spring or May, early summer kind of time to move. And then the pandemic hit, and then May was coming up quick, and we both kind of sat down and looked at each other and were like, maybe this isn't the best time to move right now. Like, let's figure out what's happening. How long is this pandemic thing going to be going on? And here we are a year later. But in terms of like moving through during a pandemic, it was not easy. I mean, a lot of time on Zillow or apartments.com trying to look at certain places, or Lauren and I both had the fortune of moving before, or sorry, of traveling to these different areas that we were interested in. And so we had some familiarity, but again, you're looking at, I'll say, doctored up pictures on the internet. And so maybe it's
everyone's OnlyFans, but for their apartment.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. So it was definitely, we've definitely relied heavily on the couple friends that and people we knew that lived here in Northwest Arkansas before we moved. And we've been so thankful just to have them to be like our part of our quarantine essentially, and to tell us about, hey, do this, don't do that. The moving part was easy. You wear a mask, and we did all of it pretty much ourselves. Got a few help lifting some couches, but that's about it. So the moving part was easy, but certainly trying to navigate, I think it's still an ongoing process. We feel settled, I guess, and at home here, but as far as being a part of the community, that's something that we're still working on, and is really difficult because there aren't those opportunities to go out and meet people necessarily in the same way there would be pre-pandemic.
That'll come along. I think that's like the next step, right? But it's like, now that you've been there near on a year, y'all, it seems like there's opportunity, and you've got a pretty decent little crew there, and you've got, some okay cyclocross racers you can ride with, so that's all right. Just a couple. And I think that's neat to see.
Which, I guess it leads me to this question. Like, have both of you started to look into some of the like finding Facebook groups or like is meetup.org still a thing? Like my wife and I were talking about this the other day that she met a lot of running friends before like Facebook had groups through a website called Meetup, and it was essentially Facebook groups before Facebook groups.
I used to get on Gopher and find role playing people to talk to.
Whoa.
Not that
clarify what type.
Dungeons & Dragons.
Yes. Okay. Good.
Is
now
this
we can
after hours content that we're talking about, Doug?
Welcome to the Gravel.
So, but have you guys, like, because you can't have that kind of analog communal aspect of going to get coffee or going to the brewery or dinners or things like that, where you actually kind of establish those relationships with folks, like, have you started to rely more on those things, or like how are you guys finding kind of your way within meeting new folks and trying to become part of the community? Because I gotta believe after a while you're like, we can't just continue to not like engage or interact or like try and make new friends.
Yeah, we can't be the wallflowers the whole time that we're living here, right? I think, we've definitely have looked into it. There's a couple of women specific organizations here that have a lot of organization and group rides that are for women only. That's something that's really awesome and something for Lauren to get into, but I think at this point in time, like the common denominator for us has been bikes. We've just been out riding and met people from Ohio, actually, from all over the place, and just, everybody's having a great time when they're out on two wheels. And so that's really been the way that we've been able to meet new people, is just, riding outside on trails, just happen to be chit-chatting at the top of a run or something like that. And, all of a sudden you get someone's phone number and it's like, hey, let's get together and ride sometime, in a safe and responsible manner. And so that's, I think to this point, we haven't necessarily had to rely too much on Meetup or Gopher. Is that?
I don't know if either of those things. Yeah, I don't know if either of those things are still relevant, but
I don't know. So here's a question: because I want to know this. Like, you're new to town, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some people may know who you are. Has anyone just outed you and been like, "Oh, wait, Tyler Cloutier? Wait, I think I know who you are." Has anyone caught you on that yet that you didn't know?
I heard of.
Hi, I am Tyler Cloutier of Flaming CX Pro Tips with this. Like, you can't introduce yourself that way.
Why not?
No,
that would be awesome. That'd be so type A. Have you heard of me? You should have heard of me.
I don't know that I have an ego big enough to introduce myself in that way, but not so much. I think cross is not as big here as road or mountain bike is. So the cycling community is small, so you get to know people. There was an instance where a friend of mine that works at a local bike shop was, we were talking about this upcoming race that's happening. It's a mixed surface gravel road single track race, and a friend of mine was talking to this, and oh yeah, I'm gonna do it with this person and Tyler, and they were like, "Whoa, Tyler Cloutier? He's like, are you sure you're going to be able to keep up with him?" So clearly my reputation precedes me.
Precedes you,
and Instagram versus reality is I'll probably get dropped, and Instagram makes it look like I'm a hero. So
whatever, that means you're doing it right, I guess. Like,
exactly.
Hashtag influencer. Yeah, air quotes, influencer.
Yeah.
Look pro, go slow.
Exactly.
This is what Ellen taught me in week 1 when we started dating, was look pro, go slow. And I have fully adopted this situation.
I approve of this message.
So
but it's cool.
So I think a lot of people know Bentonville as Walton family money, building mountain bike trails. But you mentioned there's a really strong road scene, which I think is I don't know if it's getting kind of washed out by the investment into natural surface and connected bike trail and bike lanes and all of the more natural infrastructure that's been built. So, like, how do those two kind of coincide? Because I think searching Bentonville and bikes, you're going to end up with a whole bunch of rad edits about mountain bikes and flow trail and how all of the trails are connected, but you don't see a lot of great road riding or like adventure gravel or things like that. So I guess this here's an opportunity to sell Bentonville on folks for the folks who don't want to go to Bentonville to ride mountain bikes. What makes the area so unique for skinnier tires?
Yeah, there's not a ton of sick road bike edits that are coming out of Bentonville at this point.
Anywhere, like anywhere, unless your last name is Sagan, like you're not Sagan. I can't even say I'm a Midwest kid, so whatever. Unless you're him, you're not making any really.
That dude makes
Exactly.
like kitchen appliances look like dope edits, so that's fine.
Yeah, I just went down a rabbit hole in my head of all the, the Bora Hansgrohe like stovetops and shower
They're so
things. Good. We'll reel ourselves back from that. But yeah, I mean, Joe Martin has been a race that they've had up here in the Fayetteville area, and there really are some beautiful roads to go ride your bike on. I know Project Echelon, domestic road team, they just had their training camp here. There's tons of great places to go ride your bike. And honestly, for friends that I've talked to that I've asked about coming to visit or what bike should they bring, it's like, yeah, bring your mountain bike, but bring a gravel bike or a road bike. I mean, I can ride from my door essentially all the way down to Fayetteville, which is about 30 miles away, all on protected bike lanes or bike path, essentially.
Wow.
And so it's nice that I can ride that far and I can feel comfortable with Lauren going out riding and riding wherever she wants to and know that she's going to be in a safe environment. And if for those more, I say avid roadies, there's great climbs, just, kind of east of town. I mean, there's so whatever surface, whatever bike you want to bring and ride, there's something there. Maybe you should start to get on that marketing aspect a little bit and make it about gravel and road too.
Bring all your bikes, please. Bring
all the bikes. For some reason, I didn't even put together that Joe Martin was in that area, and I don't know why. Because, it is. But yeah, it doesn't. And maybe there's just only so much marketing that you can put out about one specific area before people start to get confused. It's like, oh, is it has to be a mountain biking destination. It can't be mountain bikes and gravel bikes and road bikes because everyone's head would explode.
The cycling world in general, you can't do one thing. You must be fit into this box and you cannot fit into another box. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Why would you ever do that?
How else are we going to exclude people?
Exactly.
Well, we're good at that. That's like kind of one of our missions. And because we got to address, there is an elephant in the room.
That was alley-oop, Doug. That was so good.
Yeah. Because there is a situation, Pebbles, if you don't know and you're not following the news, there have been a series of and I know I speak for the group on this, a series of very disturbing and troubling legislative actions, not only just in Arkansas, but also across the United States at this point in time. And for those Pebbles who don't know, these are all related to trans rights and trans folks and healthcare and a number of issues and competing in sport. And this is a long path we're on. Hopefully this stuff all gets repealed and everyone gets the rights they deserve and that they really, really should have. Hopefully there's court challenges and all that sort of stuff. But we're slated for Worlds for cyclocross in Fayetteville in 2022-ish, but like it's the winter time.
Less than a year. Yeah.
Less than a year. And it's a major, major boon for the United States to have that. And there's a lot of gnashing of teeth and concern in this space. And I know we all talked before because we were having conversation about this. And I want to make sure that all of you, the Pebbles, know that we're aware of all this stuff. This isn't necessarily the forum that we as three, cis presenting white males need to have this argument, just understand we all agree that this is a thing that we're not comfortable with. We want to see changed. And really, we want all of you to think about these things and put pressure on the organizations that really have the ability to change this. If you live in Arkansas and you can vote, go vote. Make your voice heard. But if you have the opportunity, write a letter. There's a lot of resources. Reach out to USA Cycling, reach out to the UCI, our national and international governing bodies, much like the NCAA did in North Carolina, have the ability to put pressure that Tyler, John, and Doug can't necessarily put. And we got to find a better way forward, because, you know, trans rights are human rights,
Yeah.
and we need to solve that.
And
we can debate how best to do it, but we got to get through this.
And I'll hop on and just say something small. Like, I'm a USAC team manager, owner, whatever their new title is, but I'm also a USAC license holder. You can bet your ass that I'm definitely writing to USAC as both of those things. Not even John or Doug from the gravel lot. It is, I am a dues paying member. I am a team organizer, race director, race promoter, all of these things. We need you to take leadership on this. And then we need you to also lean on the international governing bodies to try and elicit some sort of pressure on the situation, because those are the ways that we create systemic change. It's not, you know, everybody, all the cats going in different directions. Like, we all need to move in the same direction, and we all need to put it on the sharpest end. And the sharpest end, frankly, is UCI and USAC. So without going down the rabbit hole of personal takes or anything like that, we are here for it. We are here for all of you and everybody.
You're all pebbles in the gravel lot.
Yes.
All of you.
You will, and you will always have a place here. As we say, it is not just fodder to open the show. It is legitimately how Doug and I believe. So, I think we can't talk about Fayetteville. We can't talk about Bentonville. We can't talk about you as a cyclocross racer without at least acknowledging the what was it? The hippocrate in the room?
Hippocrate, yeah.
Yeah.
The hippocrate.
The giant hippocrate.
Yeah.
You guys missed that in the green room, but it's okay.
It's still fun.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have said I just saying ditto, or it's like, you know, heart on both of those comments, because it's
yeah, you can do the Korean dad heart. We love the Korean dad on the show. I don't know if you've ever seen the guy, the Korean dad from YouTube. He says the nicest things to you. You feel so good. And then he does this little heart. So, but it's a challenge. We got to approach it. But it is a unique space. And one of the things that is interesting, and I want to touch on, because I got to see the video, and I want to know what it was like. Brooke Watts' building might be the wildest, most interesting course I have ever seen. It looks like it's got bank turns.
It's like a bike park.
Yeah.
Like it's like a purpose-built flow trail cross bike park.
Right. I want to know what it's like to ride that, because I have ridden some like flow mountain bike trail on my cross bike and it was hella fun. What was it like to ride that?
It's hard not to want to get air. And then midway through the first tabletop, you realize you're on a rigid bike with 30 millimeter tires on it. And you're like, ooh, this is not a good idea. Yeah, exactly. But with Carrie in town, it was really fun to get together and go ride a lap of the course, and just to see, I mean, for those that were at the Fayette Cross event in October of 2019. I almost said last year. I keep doing that.
It still feels like last year. It's fine.
In 2019, I mean, it was just a field, and then we got mud on the second day, and it was just a wild course. And we're like, man, I remember leaving and just being like, they got a lot of work to do if they want to host a world's level, a UCI level event there next year. And you see that through the couple of the trail building companies that they have here. They've been building some ridiculous features that at that venue, and they have mountain bike trails there as well. And so it's not just built for this one thing, and then it's going to disappear. They're building that venue up to be there, not just in 2022, but then well beyond it, with tons of mountain biking trails for every level of skill, of how much, air do you want to get, everything from, cyclocross riders to enduro bros. There's something there for everybody. So the course itself was, it pretty much rode like a flow trail down those, the swooshing descents. Like, you didn't have to touch your brakes too much. And I think it'll be really interesting to see how that course develops when they get a little more grass and kind of get it all polished up. So
yeah, I think that, but also when you put, like, you and Carrie riding it was, you kept distance to each other, and you framed him really nicely. He should really be thankful that you were, gave the right distance, get some good depth of field. Like, your cinematography skills are dramatically underrated,
especially on a bike. Jesus.
Right,
that's what I was hired for.
but I like, the minute you start to smash like lap 1, if you're getting into these like flowy descents that are not that far, like they were within 40 seconds or so, like some of them, of the starting line. So like lap 1, you get 60 people in there that are hot to trot for a world championship. Like, that's going to be really interesting, because normally you see flow trail is like one person, then another person.
Yeah, there's
another person,
and an exit. Like, there's a legit entrance and exit. This will be wild.
Yeah. So I have one question. Like, in all of those, most trails end up getting a name, whether they're named before they're actually built or what have you. But does the Stonehenge flyover henge, like, does that have a name yet? Because it's like, it is. Anyone that I've talked to about it, or like reading through comments on it, like, that to me is the thing that people take away and they want to go tell somebody else about. But like, oh my God, they built Stonehenge as a flyover that is rideable and smooth, and like, it's hard to describe the scale of like how much rock they move to make that thing. So, one, does it have a name?
So there is the actual Stonehenge feature before the finish line that I think I have heard called Stonehenge.
Okay.
But I'm not sure about the stairs, and on the other side of that, there's a big World Cup A-line rock garden and a drop, like a 6-foot drop next to it. So those are not in the cross race, to be clear, but I don't know if they've named that feature.
That'd be rad as hell.
I just had a little panic attack. Like, oh God,
everything.
Poor Matthew Vanderpool's carbon bars are going to snap again.
Puckered up real tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but the course, so that flowing descent that you're talking about is actually already has placards along it. It's called Chasing Gold. So you better believe that everything there has been purpose built for that event and beyond that as well. So
tight. Okay. So here's the thing. I want to know if you all support the following idea, that if Governor Hutchinson figures crap out and we all show up at Worlds this year, you guys are down with me dressing like a troll and hanging out under that bridge.
100%.
All right, cool. Can you bring me Athletic Brewing non-alcoholic beer, please?
We can make that happen.
Okay,
for sure.
Troll beer.
I know a guy.
Because I feel like a troll lives under that place. They had a SUV parked underneath it or whatever. Like, they had a little thing, but like, that's a troll bridge for real.
I mean,
there's like 3 of those there's underneath the stair set, there's a long tunnel, and then there's 2 other flyovers, the one you saw in the video, and then another one that have homes for trolls. So you can take your pick.
We're talking about the home of Walmart. So we need plenty of housing for
right. Yes. Host
all
housing.
Types.
Host housing for the actually, maybe we could get some actual internet trolls from the cycling world and we can put them underneath there.
There's plenty.
Okay,
so in talking about, we're talking about Athletic Brewing. You did it was August last year.
Yep.
You did a really, really big thing with them and a whole host of other people. So rather than me or Doug explain what it was, give you the floor to talk about what the project was, how you got involved with it, and then what all that it actually entailed.
and
Yeah.
who Athletic Brewing is. So if people don't know, they need to know.
Yeah. Athletic Brewing here. It's on my hat. It's the beer that I've been drinking because it's a school night. It is a non-alcoholic beer company, which sounds redundant. And I know I love beer. Let me just put that little asterisk or caveat. I love going to a place, getting a good local beer, but that's not the best thing to do on a Friday night before a race, or to, if I'm, trying to like be productive the next day, maybe throwing back a couple of 10 percenters from your local brewery. Maybe
Yeah,
not a
let me
good
just.
idea.
Oh, this growler's half done. This will be
Yeah.
flat in the morning. I
None-
better just
This
sort this out.
this is all just saying none of us are 21 anymore, 22.
Correct.
Yes, none of us are children anymore.
Doug, that is the exact mindset that I have, and why we can't have sweet things in the house, because I'm like, well, this box of Trader Joe's cookie dunkers is half gone. I might as well finish it, because then I won't be tempted tomorrow. So
correct. Exactly. It's just like me and gummy worms and like Sour Patch Kids. I hear you. I'm with you, Tyler. This is my part of my personality.
Yeah.
So they started as basically as a craft brewery for non-alcoholic beer, and really they're kind of, I guess to say, a beer for all times. So yeah, the guys that work in the brewery, the folks that work with Athletic, they're beer drinkers as well. They're beer enthusiasts, but they wanted to make a craft beer, or a non-alcoholic beer, that tasted just as good as any alcoholic beer out there. And for me personally, I for the past I guess 2018 was probably the first year I did it. And then again in 2019, as soon as I started getting closer to my main season, being the cyclocross season, I would give up alcohol during the year, or during that time, because of all of the, basically what it does to my sleep, what it does to my recovery, all of that. Right. So, maybe I'll have one on a Sunday after a race, but I was pretty dialed back, but I still miss that, because what's better than getting back to the gravel lot or the parking lot after a race, or getting done with a cross race and cracking open a cold one to either watch the other races or just talk about the thing that you just did. Right. It's part of our cycling community, like cycling and coffee, cycling and beer, they all go hand in hand, right, in this culture. And so, I still missed having that. I still wanted the taste of beer during the week, but I didn't want to wake up. I still wanted to be able to perform the next day at my job and in my life, and on the bike as well. And I found this Athletic and started looking into it and ordered it, and actually just really enjoyed, the message that they stood for of helping, trying to aim at being at your best, and doing things without compromise is their logo. So you don't have to give up something of like, oh, I'm going to have this 10% beer, but like, I'm going to pay for it tomorrow. It's like, no, I can still drink something that tastes really good and I enjoy. And then I can wake up and I can still go for that hike tomorrow morning, or I can do whatever it is that I want to do. So I'm not having to compromise in any way, shape, or form. And really, so the coast to coast ride that you were talking about, John, was it was basically a way for them to, they started with their main brewery in Connecticut, and they had were just opening a new brewery in San Diego. And Mason Gravely was kind of the brains behind the operation, having done a couple of coast to coast bike rides himself. He's like, him and a couple other folks here were like, what if we did something cool around opening this, but we did like basically a relay ride across the country, but we did it, running would take too long, and just driving from place to place there's not much engagement there. So why don't we do it with bikes instead? And so that's kind of how the genesis of the idea came up, of like, okay, we're going to have 10 segments across the country. We're going to roll it out to our employees and then to ambassadors who want to be a part of this. And each person is going to ride a segment. And it's going to be basically like, we had an actual baton that was sanitized and everything, that it was basically carried across the country by people riding bikes. so that's kind of how the idea started. And when Mason asked me about it in 2019, I was like, again, just really kind of thinking about my position. And even before the pandemic started, like, where do I exist in the hierarchy of cyclocross racers, right? And like, is bike racing everything? And trying to look at more events and be like, do the ones that make you say, hell yeah, like, embrace that.
Yes.
And this was one of those events where I was like, hell yeah, like, that scares me, because the segment that I did, or was supposed to do, was from Lincoln, Nebraska to Denver, Colorado, which
it's a hard draw.
It's a slight uphill,
it's a little bit,
the entire way.
Yeah.
And
false flat.
Not much to see.
Yeah. False flat the whole way.
Exactly. Just constantly checking. Are my tires flat? Like, I swear to God, like, what is happening?
How many beers did I drink last night?
They were on
an alcoholic.
There has to be some alcohol in this. I feel like. No.
Yeah, exactly.
So I really wanted to test myself and to see, like, okay, I've never ridden 500 miles in a week. I don't know how long it's going to take. This scares me. There were other segments available still that were maybe more familiar. They were, in areas of the country that I'd been before. But this one just stood out to me for the sheer challenge. It was maybe the longest or second longest leg of the trip. And yeah, I was like, hell yeah, I want to be a part of that. So yeah, that's how I dove in.
projects like this are like, I love them because this is like, that is exactly how my brain works. I pitched an idea similar to that for when I used to work at Bicycle Playing Cards, United States playing card company based out of Erlanger. They wanted to do something in Bentonville for this. Walmart has the actual museum in downtown, and then for a brand to get the window in the museum is a big deal. Like, they get 12 months out of the year. They get 12 brands. And you think about all the brands that are inside Walmart. And we got Bicycle Playing Cards got 2 months in a row. And we're like, want to make a big deal about this. And I was like, we should put 2 people on bikes and we should ride from the plant all the way to like Walmart HQ and deliver like, the deck of cards or something that's going to be the feature of this window. And it like slowly gets chipped away by corporate ideas and like finances and support and all these other things. And it like ends up not happening. But small business, like, yeah, we should totally ride across the country from first plant to second plant. I have no idea how we're going to do it, but that sounds rad. We should totally do that. And then we can figure out what we're going to do with it later. So he reaches out to you and contacts you and says, I have this crazy idea. Do you want to be a part of it? Yes. Then you make your selection. So what, like, were you in charge of kind of developing your own pace and support structure? Like, how did that segment break down for you? Was it like how, I'm thinking like Joe Lawhorn Ram, is it just like you set off and until you fall off your bike or you have to sleep, or is it like you have a set amount per day, you have like a sag van behind you, like how does that whole thing work?
So here's where the curveball comes in. So initially they had segments
because riding across the country isn't enough of a curveball.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a big enough party. It needed a little bit extra spice added to it,
Right.
So it was actually maybe 2 days before Lauren and I were going to drive up to Lincoln, right, where my leg was going to start. And I get this email that's I can't remember what it was titled, but the gist of it was everything had gone to plan. The original plan was we have set segments of 100 to, I think it was like 125 miles was the longest day that we're going to ride each day. And generally it was because that the route that they were taking along, I think it was 36, is pretty sparsely populated in terms of bigger cities or bigger towns. So we were going to either camp or find a hotel nearby. So there was kind of like a point-to-point aspect of it. But then I get this email. I'm like all set up. I got my bike ready to go. I've got my nutrition. I know it's a supported ride. So I've just got to get on the bike and pedal, and that's it. And I get this email, and it's unfortunately Mason, who was helping to coordinate the thing along with another guy, Nick Brown. And they were riding in Iowa, and Mason was doing some of the miles, and he actually got clipped by a car while he was riding, and shattered the truck. Hit him. It hit him like in his shoulder, and he was okay. He was a little scared, a little bruised, somehow managed to stay upright. I have no idea how.
What?
But the side mirror actually broke off and like shattered. And he's like, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden there were just like pieces of plastic flying around my head before I could even like react to it. And so, you know, he was okay. Everything was good. Somehow he wanted to keep riding. I guess the adrenaline got him going, and proceeded to then get buzzed again and like yelled at by another person. And I guess earlier in the trip, there had been a few, you know, unfortunate instances. For every cyclist that's listening to this, or anybody that's been a cyclist or has thought about being a cyclist, that's the one thing that you're scared of, right? Is like, maybe not the one thing, but probably top 3 on the list.
If the first time it happens, it suddenly goes to P1 on your list. Like think about it, you're like, okay, that would suck if that happened. But the minute that it actually happens and somebody threatens you with their vehicle, then that is like, do I want to go ride on the road again? Like we all have to navigate that.
And so, you know, to their credit, they didn't want to end the trip. Obviously they don't want to get anybody else hurt. Thankfully, like Mason was okay somehow by his guardian angel or good karma.
Yeah, he got hit by a truck and he's fine. Well, relatively physically fine.
Bruised. Yeah. But wow. But yeah. And so they were like, look, we still want to do the miles, but we need to figure out a way to do this safely. And what ended up happening was, instead of doing the point to point, we decided to go to pieces or towns where there were bike trails. So for me, I didn't start in Lincoln. We went back to Omaha, and I rode the Wabash Trail, which is in southwest Iowa. And it goes from Omaha all the way down to the Missouri border and back. And it's like 60 miles of gravel trail. And that's kind of how we carried on through the trip. We rode part of the Cowboy Trail in Nebraska. We rode in the Black Hills of South Dakota. Rode in, trying to think of where else, Badlands National Park, like in areas that were safe. And it actually turned into a great way to not only be at a parking lot and share a beer with people that got done with their own bike rides, but also, you know, they're part of this trash cleanup that which is a big mission of theirs, is picking up so many pounds of trash along the way and donating to the local trail organization there. And for me personally, it was like taking the blinders off and seeing like what else is out there besides bike racing. Like I had no idea that these trails existed in these parts of the country that I probably have driven past a couple of times, but I wouldn't stop there. But there's here in Southwest Iowa, there's 60 miles of gravel rail trail that's safe to ride. It's pristine. It's well-maintained. It's freaking sweet. And that's just how the ride ended up working out. It was just like, you know, every day it got better than the next.
I think that's interesting because it's still seeing the country, right? From this point to that point, but you're seeing a local microcosm instead of like, I will ride to the next waypoint.
Yeah. It's a better way. Cause that reminds me, like growing up, like I started working on race cars when I was 12 and we traveled all over the country, and that sounds awesome, but it was essentially go on a major interstate, get off at like a county road or whatever, drive to the racetrack, see the racetrack, drive to the hotel or the car wash, see the car wash, see the hotel, drive to the next place. And like, yeah, you see the country and you see it by the interstate, or you see it by like back roads or something like that. But the things that like the vacations that my wife and I go on, where we actually like go and do things and experience local culture and the things that local area has, and like sample the like an appetizer sampler of like, I can't decide what I want to try all of the things, is better than just like, I don't know, going to Pizza Hut and getting a pizza, because you know what that is, you know what that looks like, and it sucks that the grand accomplishment of it got changed, but I think that's a really cool audible, because it gives you that take that you just took away of like, man, I didn't realize. I knew there were bike trails and there were like all these access points all over the country, but being kind of given that gift of being able to see them and experience them, and then the off chance that you get to ride with a local person, that's like enhancing that whole experience, rather than just sitting on your bike and kind of riding slowly uphill for 500 plus miles towards Denver.
Yeah. And from a brand perspective, like that's what I think a lot of people, and even as an athlete, right, we're trying to create engagement for our sponsors and for ourselves, as well as talking about us, treating yourself as a brand, or whatever your brand is. You're trying to create engagement. And I think it almost turned out better. I loved it, got to go to Mount Rushmore and again, ride in all these amazing places and see these rail trails that I never knew existed. I didn't know that there were plans to build a rail trail that went from the East Coast all the way out to, I think it's like Oregon or Washington. Had no idea, but I'm texting my friends about it, and they're like, you ride 120-mile day, and all of a sudden you're Rebecca Rush. You just want to ride forever. No, but I'm stoked on it. Like I'm excited. So I still did the distance. I still got my miles in, whatever that was, but it in a way that was great for athletic. It got them to reach a bunch of people that they might not have otherwise, other than a conversation at a hotel or a gas station with a big, athletic brewing on the side of a van.
What's that?
And I don't know, it opened my eyes to what's out there, and seeing people on the trails that didn't look like me, and, in a tight fitting outfit. There are people that were commuting. There are people that were just out there going bike camping, and just kind of breaking down those barriers. Like we talked about in the green room, breaking down those boxes and realizing that there's more to it than just racing at a high level or racing in general.
So
there's more avenues.
So that begs the question, right? Like we can talk globally about if we need bike racing, but like, is this a seminal moment that Tyler understands and learns something about his need for bike racing?
Yeah, I'm not here to announce my retirement by any means.
No, I don't expect
That's
you.
a later.
No, but has it changed that calculus for you?
100%. I think it has. Early on, and when the pandemic first started, I think we were all unsure of what was going to happen next. Okay, well, we still have these cross races on the calendar. They're still going to happen, right? But the closer we got to it, and the more I kind of realized that, man, maybe it's not safe and responsible. I took to social media and just said, hey, like I talked with the sponsors that I have, and they agreed, or were supportive of me. And I'm not going to race this year because I don't think it's safe. And that weight was lifted off my shoulders. But at the same time, feeling that freedom to ride bikes or to not ride bikes at the same time, it gave me an opportunity to go camping, to go backpacking, and do all of these other cool things that I haven't been able to do. But it also gave me pause riding some long miles across the Great Plains, of just thinking about, where do I fit in the cyclocross ecosystem? If I'm not going to be the Curtis Whites or the Kerry Werners, the Gage Hecks, there's some fast kids coming up, and I keep getting older and they keep getting faster. So
I
can't change
the same age. We keep getting old, right? Like the thing.
Yeah. Like if I'm I obviously have goals and I want to be there. I want to be at the pointy end. So I still have those performance goals for myself and things that I'm chasing. But at the same time, I realize that my impact as a cyclist or as a bike racer is not in results. Maybe you get a couple good results and it generates some clicks or maybe gets my name out there or something like that. But I started to really think about, where do I fit in this community and what do I want my lasting impact on cross to be? Is it, a couple of good results at the national or elite or world level? Or is there more that I can do, more that I can offer to make this community better, or at least my local community or my
Right.
cyclocross community better than when I came into it?
It's intriguing to me that when you were just talking through it, when you acknowledged that racing wasn't going to happen against all, hopes and wishes, you said the phrase, it felt like a weight was lifted. And I think that in and of itself is very telling about where the racing aspect fits into kind of your total sphere. And part of that is an easy understanding of just the sheer volume of work that it takes, one, to get ready for cross, but two, the continuing physical toll on top of the financial toll with being a kind of mid-level domestic racer or regional domestic racer in this country, because you're doing a lot of this out of your own pocket to make those things happen. So, like, is that what that weight was, or is part of that weight that was lifted this idea that now I can go be a bike camper, I can go do adventure rides, I can go hiking with my wife and do these other things that have felt like they were detracting from work towards like some sort of success within cyclocross?
Yeah, I mean, I think the financial aspect plays into it, certainly, just by nature of, I've been supporting myself. I'm fortunate enough to have a day job that honestly pays for my racing budget, and it's how I have bikes and how I have wheels and all of the equipment and pay for the mechanical support and stuff that I need. So that, certainly there is a financial burden or pressure that was relieved of. I mean, I probably should have been smart and saved some of that money, but you always need new gear, right? So it's like, I need a cool backpack. I need new hiking boot.
Yeah, no,
companies just need to stop making cooler stuff every year, and then marketing people sell it to you.
My Runner is way cooler looking than it was at the beginning of pandemic. It's about to get even cooler looking because I keep
100%.
buying stuff, right? I get this. It's consumerism. Yeah. It's going to happen to all of us, right?
For sure. But I think for me, I have expectations of myself when it comes to getting onto the start grid, and I try to be realistic about those, and I try to bring the best of myself to each race, to each training day, to each interaction. But in doing that in bike racing, that inevitably takes a little bit away from my ability to be a good partner, to be a good son, to be a good member of my local community. And it's something that, when I'm traveling around to all these races, I'm kind of parachuting in here and I'm back at home, but I'm only at home for 2 days, and then I'm gone to the next race. And it's really hard to feel that connection or devote a lot of your time to that when you're just focused on your performance and not having that cross season. I think, or just feeling that not having that pressure to perform and really being able to sit back and think about, okay, how do I really want to make an impact in the community? Everybody talks about I want to do this and I'm going to be great. But then when it comes time to do it, those things aren't always the first priorities, right? It's my performance and how am I going to do on this race weekend. So I think for me, it was, just getting back to your question, financial, sure. But also just not having the pressure of that, I want to do really well at this race, or I'm putting pressure on myself to perform at a level because I think that it's going to open more doors, or it's going to get me into this other race. What have you, not having that just allowed me to shift my attention to all those other areas that maybe, I don't want to say neglected, but that's probably the best word, that have just been kind of like, get pushed off to the side for 6 months, and focus on that and be attentive and be present in those activities.
So I think it's interesting because everybody is going through this in pandemic in some way. And as we come out of this, hopefully on the other side, everyone wear your fucking masks. Please just behave yourselves until everyone is vaccinated, as many people as we can get vaccinated, so this doesn't get worse. But when we come out the other end of this, like, everyone's going to reevaluate all the things they were doing for the entire number of years they were alive prior to this, right? Where are we putting our effort? Where are we putting our time? What matters to us? I think this has been a massive reset for a lot of people. I know it has been for me. I know it has been for John.
And I will say, this weekend I had two surreal experiences where I didn't even catch it initially. One of them was over this weekend, and then the other one was, Amanda told it to me after the fact. She said that people are now starting to refer to February 2020 and before as the before times. Like, legitimately talking about it as the before,
correct,
and the after. Like,
yes,
there's like PC, pre-COVID, and I don't even know if that makes sense. Like, or I guess BC, which doesn't make sense either, because we already have BC.
We already have,
but like,
BC. Yeah,
I know, like the before times and the after times. Like, the fact that people are already wrapping their heads around that as a concept is really wild. But like, plenty of people are writing articles. There are tons of pro athletes that are publishing things about reevaluating the things in their life that they thought were important that maybe really aren't.
Right.
And it's like, I just wanted to interject that, because it was something that is very recent to me, that is like for the calibration of folks that maybe haven't had that hit them in the face, which is what it felt like it did to me. That's like, that is how people are starting to define like 2020 as a year of, like, it is there's the birth of our Lord type defining moment of pre
who's
and
Lord
post.
We don't know. I think mine is Little Nas X, and that's all I gotta say. I mean, you can tell me he goes with the devil, whatever, it's cool. He's now my new Lord. At any rate, if you're drawing this line in the sand, right, there's this time where we're reevaluating whether we were with Nas X or not, right? If you're putting this space, you're putting this kind of reevaluation, you've learned these new pieces. You said earlier that you were thinking about what you wanted your legacy to be. Do you feel like you have some sort of window into that right now?
Yes and no. Right. One thing that I think I've always enjoyed is teaching people, and the opportunity to share my experience with others, and hope that might benefit them in a way. I'm also a cycling coach with CycleSmart. That's another job that I have, and that's one thing that I enjoy about it, is just being able to share my experiences as a bike racer, but also as a person that has a day job, right? And be like, hey, this is how I balance training, and how you can still perform at a middler level, maybe even above that, but you can, just, again, sharing my experience as a racer and how I've navigated these things, and sharing skills and teaching clinics and all of that. And
right.
And in the time that I've had to think about where is my impact lie, I think it is in those opportunities of teaching, of creating engagement, of creating community in a sense, be it here locally or even at the races. I would love to go for every race that I go to have some kind of like athletic brewing hangout, or some kind of like clinic that we teach, even though I'm sure half the little kids around the country right now could teach me something about cross that I did not know before, or teach me, hey, can you show me how to ride that? Because I got to do that tomorrow. So lesson.
Well, they can show us all how to use the internet better. I know that for certain. Like, can you show me how TikTok works? I don't understand.
Should I be on that? I don't know yet. I'm still unsure.
I think the Chinese
So I think
hacking it. I'm unsure.
But Planet Money's on it, so I don't know. Yeah, and I think that's where I see I can make an impact is providing opportunities to show not only how great cross is, but also how great cycling is. The question that I have, and I'm kind of going through now, is how do I do that? Right? How do I do that in a way that's impactful? It's not just Tyler parachuted in for a Friday and then never saw him again. Yeah. Those are the type of questions that I'm asking myself, and I'm looking for answers or ideas. So we can open up the floor for any suggestions at this point in time, or maybe in the AMA section.
Tyler do? What should Tyler do with his feature?
But it's
coach me.
Yeah, it's an interesting challenge because you said it a little bit earlier that everybody is, you said it in the green room, but you also mentioned it just a little bit there, is everybody is on board for the hard work until it's time to do the hard work. And I think when using that, capital L word of legacy, we all have this idea of what start a podcast and, explain to people why it's not right to ride on wet trails and how whatever that goalpost is starts to constantly move and always trying to kind of escalate whatever that challenge is and go wherever the world kind of leads you to. And it's joke as much as you want that like maybe the AMA section will be where that idea comes from. But if you're talking about a legacy of what can you do for the community and what can you do for getting more people on bikes or get stoked on bikes, who better to look at than the people who are already stoked on bikes and can tap into whatever their personal connection is to the bike or to you. And that's where it is like, it's an ongoing conversation between Doug and I of what do we want the gravel lot to accomplish? It's not just like, we spend money on this the same way that you spend money on bike racing. It's not like it's not like this is a profit engine at all, but it's a passion project because we feel like eventually it will lead us to something that can leave a lasting impact. And I don't know what that definition is yet, but I'm like weekly basis, like dedicating a lot of time towards busting my ass to figure out, like, keep checking the boxes until that thing presents itself. And when it presents itself, like, you bet your ass we'll be ready to jump on board.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's, it's like I have some ideas, but I'm one person, and that's where
let's talk about
it. Yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of ego tied up in it, right? Sure. When you start talking about legacy of like, I want to be seen, I want to be portrayed in this way, or I want people to see me in this light. And from my perspective, it's genuine, right? Like I'm not sitting here blowing smoke. That's genuinely how I feel in the thoughts and conversations that I've had with people.
In knowing you, I think it's important to define personal legacy by impact left on the world type legacy.
Right. They're different.
And I don't think like, speaking for myself, for Doug, for the gravel lot, and I think you fall into this as well, is bikes has brought all of us so much, physically, emotionally, because we're all kind of broken and damaged in our own ways, and bikes have helped be a part of fixing that. But it's also brought us this whole new family of bike weirdos, of commuter life, of bike racing, of all types of different kits and all types of widths of tires. But like, what can we do to bring more people into that family and help more people discover that they may not have realized that they were a cyclist and they do have a place that they can belong in and feel part of something bigger? I don't care if my name is attached to anything whatever. Like that to me, that stuff is never important. I get that there's people that like want, they want their name on a building, they want their name on a bridge or whatever as like a legacy piece.
Out of office, John. We don't have to talk about him.
Yeah, whatever. There's a lot more people like that. But I think approaching it that way is, for some reason, I feel like I need to state that, because when you start talking about legacy, it is easy for folks, if someone's hearing that, to fall down a rabbit hole of, oh, well, what is, I'm going to look up his UCI results and it's not going to be blah, like what type of legacy is he leaving? And it's like, no, that's not what we're doing here. We're talking about something completely different.
Yeah, please do. I'll clap back and I'll point to a couple and say, okay, you want to check my results? I got a few that you can check out. Let me show it to you.
Check these results. Oh,
yeah. And I think like that's where we are as a cycling community right now, John, is like, okay, the pandemic has presented so many people, and I saw it when I lived in Dallas. I see it here every freaking weekend. There's people from all over that ride bikes. There's people that in Dallas that were buying bikes that hadn't ridden in months, or were dropping their old bikes off because gyms were closed. It's the only thing that they can do to get outside. I can only walk around my block so many times. And, me, I'm trying to go to my local spot and train a little bit, and I'm having to weave, and I'm like, God, get out of the way. But at the same time, like, that's a good problem to have, because, we're cyclists, we're always like, we want to be bigger. We want more of the spotlight, but now the spotlight's on cycling. And so what are we going to do to keep it on us? What are we going to do to keep those people in the fold when gyms do open back up, when it is safe to travel, when those bikes get hung up in the garage again? We have to come together as a community and figure out, okay, and not maybe as a community, we don't need to wait, but it's as simple as just waving at someone or seeing, being friendly to the guy that's commuting, because they might not wear spandex like you do, but they're still riding bikes. A cyclist is a cyclist. There's no box that you need to put around it. Right. And so we need to figure out, how can we, think globally, but act locally, right? Yeah. Like, what am I going to do to make an impact that ripples out into the larger community, that holds that attention on cycling right now? Because we have a moment, we have the stage, and, the dance circle is cleared. I know I'm creating a lot of analogies. Now's the time to bust out the moves that you've been practicing in your basement,
Right. Yeah. You're like, I got this 2-step. I think I can do a head spin. I'm going to get it done. And then fall, but that's okay. Like, this is part of where we have to take and strike for these opportunities, because they are so precious in this space. And I love that you're thinking in that way of, how do we activate ourselves and operate locally with the global mindset of what we're actually doing. And, if there's anything I can tell you that is a good point on the map, as a bike share employee here locally, we have had a better March this March than if we combined both the Marches of the 2 years previous.
Wow.
So that means people are turned on to bikes, and they want to use them, and they are down to use them. So this is the opportunity. We are in this space. We have that place, and it's about all of us figuring out where we can insert ourselves and do good work in that space. And I love that that's where your head's at.
And I think, like, I've with the topics that we talked about in the green room, and just thinking about, like, you had an interview with Rob DiMartini and USAC, and, all this stuff going on with Nasser Buhani and the UCI and blah, blah, blah. And, like, I keep seeing times and instances where people wait for someone in a position of power to do something, right? We're looking to these people to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then, not all the time, but sometimes we get let down. And so, like, rather than just be waiting and constantly let down, why don't we take some ownership and realize that whatever action, no matter how small, is going to make a difference, as long as it's a positive action, right? Like, getting your friend into riding bikes with your friends, trying to get one new person on bikes, waving at the kid on the Strider bike and telling him he did a good job. Like all of that stuff matters. And I know personally myself, I kind of stop myself from doing projects or from engaging in something because I want it to be perfect. But I've realized that just creates to a longer period of inaction. So to bring this back to bikes, like if we're waiting for the perfect opportunity or the perfect someone on high to come down and say, this is what you need to do, here is the thing, it's never going to happen. So you might as well just grab the reins.
And perfect is the enemy of good.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is the majority of people in those positions are looking at polling data, market research, something like that, where they are letting other folks like the three of us tell them the majority of people want X to happen. So I'm going to do X. It is very rare that organic decisions like that are made willy-nilly. Like it generally doesn't happen without a boatload of research. And for anyone that questions how much impact they can have on the world, you just saying sharing your stoke with the kid on a Strider bike made me feel warm for the times that I have seen those kids on the trail, and I've commented on their helmet, the color of their bike, the flame paint job or something that they had, or just like, you look like you're having a lot of fun, and the reaction that you get from a little kid for you. Generally, it's a little bigger if you're wearing like full race kit and you look like you're, serious, intimidating cyclist guy. But the purity of the reaction you get from that kid is,
it's awesome.
It is the strongest drug that I mean, granted, I'm like the square here, the strongest drug that I've ever experienced in terms of like that hit of dopamine to your brain of like immediate positive feedback to something that you just like, this little thing that means very little to you in doing it. Like the flood that you get back from the world is like, that's such a small thing, but you don't know what that moment for that kid is going to do. Like, you don't know if that kid's going to like take up cyclocross and eventually be, like, you don't know what that kicks off for that kid and that parent to see that like their kid loves being outside of the house and experiencing outdoors. Cool. The kid seems like he really enjoys riding a bike. Cool. So we'll take him to the local trail. And then like that going up the next notch is like, those things are like force feedbacking each other to like whatever the next level is. And it's like, that's the kind of challenge that for anyone sitting here digesting this, watching it, listening to it, and thinking like that stuff doesn't matter. I know everybody has had that experience, whether it's a stranger or like a niece or a nephew. You've had those experiences where you get that immediate feedback when you put positive things out into the world. Now start to like stack those together and maybe take the next step beyond just saying that, cool helmet or look like you're having a lot of fun, like whatever that next step is. And I appreciate your honesty in terms of like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what my next move is. 'Cause if we all had the answers, what's the point of like going through the experiences of getting to the answers? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, to piggyback on what you're saying, and I'm trying to do I'm like under my desk trying to do the little like Korean.
I'm terrible about it too. Like I have to look at my fingers to get.
Look, point your hand like this, right? Make a finger gun, and then move your hand, like touch your two knuckles together. There you go. Yeah, you got it. Yeah,
like
there you go.
Is that it? Okay, I'm gonna start flashing this around, and people are gonna think I'm giving them like gang
some sort of gang sign.
I love you.
But but you never know what someone else is going through or what someone else's experience is.
Sure.
Right? And I'm extrapolating from bikes out to a wider topic or range in the universe. You never know what someone's day has been like, but you also don't know that something so small of like asking someone how they're doing or giving them a smile or telling them, hey, your helmet looks cool, or like waving at them as you pass, how that can change someone's mood and like change their perception of bikes in general. And I think as like, again, I can think of numerous situations where my day has been brightened by someone just asking me how I'm doing, or like acknowledging my presence at the grocery store and asking if I need help. Right. And those actions, no matter how small, could create bigger waves and ripples in someone else's life. And even though it's seemingly mundane or easy for you, it could be really impactful for that person. So if it's easy, then do it.
Yeah.
I think those are life lessons that transcend bicycles, right? Those are things we're all searching for. So I think this is a good time, because I think we have gone like all across I wanted to say across, because I know that is a Midwestern localism. We've gone all across the entirety of these things, and I think it's important. We've kind of, I feel like we've gotten to where you want to give the Pebbles some advice, and I feel like we need to take something home for them. We want to come back and we want to do also, we got some AMA questions. John's been collecting them, but what if you had one thing you wanted to kind of distill down from what we've been talking about here on this second visit back to the TGL lot? What would you want that to be for the Pebbles?
I knew this question was coming.
Yes,
I knew it the first time.
Yes.
And I don't think I'm still that prepared for it. But I think if I could distill all of the thoughts that are in my head right now down to one succinct thing, it's like, to be a cyclist, you just need to be a person on the bike. And for us, or for us as cyclists, to remember that and realize that I have something in common with you, Doug and John. Just by nature of riding bikes, I have something in common with the little kid that's on his Strider bike, or the adult that just bought their first bike for the first time in however many years, that I have something in common with them. And realizing that there is that community there, and that there's no boxes, there's no walls that separate us. We're all cyclists, we're all people, but if in terms of cycling, we're all cyclists. And if we want to make a difference in our community and to seize the moment to take cycling in this country or in our area where we want it to be, or where we idealize it to be, then now's the time. And it doesn't take big action. You can, not all superheroes wear capes. Doing something small and really just trying to work together to make a difference. It doesn't have to be these huge, big, grandiose plans. It can be something really simple on a local level. But that keeps those people who are now checking under the tent. They're at the Belgian party tent, and they're kind of like, well, what's the vibe in here? Let me see what this one's like. And we need to put on some Hey Caroline to bring them in. Right. We need to keep them here.
Turn down the techno, turn on the
stop smoking in here, guys.
Yeah. I said, Hey Caroline. I meant Sweet Caroline.
I knew what you meant.
You need to bring Sweet Caroline to bring them in. Yeah. And
they're Boston. They're Boston residents. They hear that, they flock. They hear that, come running.
I know this song. I know it.
Buddy, I know this song. I heard it at Dunks yesterday.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I love that. I think that is the crux of where we need to be as human beings. And when we look more specifically at where we all kind of lump ourselves into bikes as a thing, I love that. As the way we have to think about how we approach this. This is, it's more holistic that way. There is no barrier. We are all the same at the base.
And the making a change is more accessible. Like, we're talking about getting more people on bikes and opening up access to folks. But I think your point of the perfect is the enemy of good stops a lot of people from like, oh, I have this really good idea, but I don't think it would work because of this, and this. Yeah, it's like that's when you become your own worst enemy in terms of like, try it. Like, your idea doesn't have to be, I want to hold a 1,000-person Grand Fondo in my area to show off how awesome my local roads are. Hold a 5-person group ride, like, because next week or next month or next year it'll be 10. And then it'll be 20. Like, it doesn't have to be this big thing. And we're talking about like waving. Like it's so simple that we're having these conversations, but like
But they're important.
but they're important because we've all had those experiences and felt that, like I was saying, that immediate positive impact of what that is. So it's like, why risk that for this crazy idea that you think might work, and then you talk yourself out of it, and you haven't done anything, and you haven't left any sort of dent. So,
or why get so caught up in staying in your box that you never get to experience the other aspects, the other boxes that are out there.
I mean, if 2020 hasn't taught us anything, like, have we, like, I feel like that is it's been a pretty broad takeaway for almost everybody that I know of, like, man, this has really opened me up to a lot of new things, of home hobbies or books that I'd never read or music that I'd never listened to, or whatever
crap that we bought that we did not actually do anything with in the house is ridiculous. Like, we have a bunch of hobbies that I will not discuss, that, like, it's like, bought some hula hoops. That was the thing for a couple months. Like, get weird, figure out your hobbies. It's cool, but like, we got to open ourselves to other experiences, and that's an important thing.
Yeah.
So, well, awesome. We're going to hit some AMA stuff here in a moment, but we want to thank all of you Pebbles for joining us tonight on the live stream, or whether you're listening to this on Thursday morning or whatever day you possibly find this in your pod catching device. Pebbles, old, new, we cannot thank you enough for supporting us. So make sure to subscribe, click, and make sure to engage with us. Visit thegravelot.com and let us know how we can do better, things that you like, things you don't like, and become a patron on Patreon today to help us continue to bring this to you.
And in addition to your support that is helping us continue to do this, we have some great partners that we encourage you guys to support. A lot of these people are basically offering discounts or, exclusive things just for you guys for being a listener to the show. As we think they make great products, we think you should support them. So really, I mean, that's where it is. It's partnership with them and us. But we want to reach that out to you guys as well, because we think that they're making great stuff and that we think you guys would appreciate it.
And one of our longest partners has been our good friends at Be Free Ride Bikes. Adam and the entire team of BFRB is there for your custom apparel or just apparel you may need off the rack. Amazing things, brilliant chamois. I can't tell you, I do not want to ride in anything else. This is literally the best kit that I have ever worn. But if you're building custom kit, Adam and his team can get you sorted out. If you need specific fabrics or specific weights, or you need specific pieces, Adam and the entire crew can get you sorted out for your 2020 1/2 season. I don't even know what year it is. Yeah, no one knows. It's just an imaginary time.
The after. The after times.
Yes. AC, after COVID.
After COVID, yes.
AC. So head on over to bfrbcycling.com and take a look at how they can help you and all your friends and team get outfitted for your seasons ahead as we roll into this beautiful spring and summer.
And you guys know by now, we're also supported by the Caffeine and Dan and everybody at Grimpour Brothers Coffee. Follow the link in our show notes and head to grimpourbrothers.com now and get your hands on amazing coffee that I never understood how much it was ruining me until going on vacation and being stuck with whatever pre-ground coffee. Well, it was Airbnb coffee, and it was, I assume it was Folgers or something like that, because you open it up and it is
part of waking up.
Not the best part of waking up, because now Dan has ruined me for forever for coffee, and I think that that's a good thing. It's like, the first time you buy your first nice bike and you're like, oh, this is different. This is what it's supposed to be like. This is what people talk about. So get your hands on amazing coffee that each one of them supports either an athlete or an event or some other amazing cause that is, as we've just been talking about, trying to make the world a better place. Again, go to grimporbrothers.com now. Check out what all of those are. You can actually see what the individual proceeds from each one of those blends is going to go to. They are, let's see, roasted by hand every week in small batches. They are sent out in small packages that have individual handwriting on each one of the packages from Dan specifically, so you know that they are coming from loving and caring hands, and they are treated with the utmost of respect. Don't forget that if you sign up for the subscription service, you will get a free bag of coffee, and who doesn't love a free bag of amazing coffee?
Everyone loves coffee. I mean, if you don't, that's fine.
There's also decaf, though.
But they have decaf.
Yes.
That's fine.
Right.
So, you don't even like the taste of coffee? Still, send them some money.
Start drinking it, you'll eventually like it because your brain will tell you why it's awesome.
We're also proudly supported by our friend Mitch at BioWheels Fit Studio and Workshop right here in Cincinnati. Head on over. He's got a full host of bike fitting options and some awesome inventory coming in. If you need to get a bike and you are in the Cincinnati region, you need to reach out to Mitch. He has orders coming in, like little flights delivered. I don't think anything was hung up with the Ever Given in the Suez Canal, so you're probably okay.
Yeah. And has anyone seen the aerial shot of that? The satellite imagery? There's like 350 boats stuck right outside of it, and you just see all these little dots.
None of Mitch's bikes are on those boats, so you're fine. All his stuff will be here. So make sure you go hit him up and get your cycling fit and get yourself on a new rig if you are breaking out into the beautiful weather this summer.
Yeah, and I also saw this week he posted on Instagram, like when Doug says the Cincinnati area, that's like draw an 8-hour driving radius around Cincinnati is where he has people coming from. Pittsburgh, Fort Wayne, Detroit, like people coming legitimately from hours and hours away to see Mitch. So I think that speaks pretty highly of it. We're also supported by the Ritual All Natural Skincare, which is small batch, handmade chamois cream, custom blended for your team or shop right here in Cincinnati, Ohio. This is near and dear to my heart. It's a company I started and have since turned over to the new owners who have kind of re-upped their sponsorship of the show. So if you run a team, if you run a shop, and you think like, hey, having custom kit or t-shirts for my shop is not enough, what about having your logo on your own chamois cream? And not only having your logo on it, but what about being able to pick what it smells like, whether it's menthol or not, and how long you want it to last on the bike. Like, these are all things that are customizable with the Ritual All Natural Skincare. If you guys are curious about how to get them or get custom blended chamois cream, the wheels are falling off, for your team or your shop, you can get a hold of Doug and I through the Gravel Lot, any of our contact means. Do it. You will thank me. It's great.
Your bottom will thank John.
Yes.
It is a weird scenario, but it will happen.
It is. I spent a lot of time making that recipe really, really good, and it's great for your skin. It actually is making your skin stronger instead of putting just petroleum on top of your skin, which is what most chamois creams are. So I'm not knocking any chamois creams. I'm just saying that this stuff is really good.
It's better.
And if you travel with like a 1 ounce of it, it works as pomade, so you can also look fresh on the podium when you're done.
My hair is brought to you tonight by the Ritual All Natural Hair Care. No, it's not actually.
That's where the ad reads get weird.
I could have. For sure. Also, we want to thank our great friends at Hand Up Gloves. Awesome friends, been supporting us for so long. Troy and everybody down at Hand Up Gloves, just awesome folks. We have some exciting guests coming from the Hand Up team in this year. We are very excited to have them. Make sure to go check them out. They provide amazing gloves and apparel for all the different sports, whether it's bikes, golf, snow sports. You're kind of out, unless you live in Australia or like the southern climes, you're not getting that right now, but you can still make it happen. Make sure to go to the link in our show notes and click on that to go to their site and enter the code Pebble $, to save yourself 10% off everything in store. Awesome gear. We love them. They are the best. We love you. Hand Up. You rock.
I thought you were going to do the...
I did.
Okay. You just did it really fast.
Quick nod.
Whatever. So as we stated in the beginning, as we stated at some point in the middle of the conversation, we love hearing from you guys. So make sure you visit thegravelot.com, subscribe to all of our social channels, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all those places. Stay in touch, stay up to date, send us your feedback. This is something that I think is so crucial to where Doug and I take this show. And then the other things that we get involved in, like we're talking about, how do we do all of this better? How do we, whether it's make a better podcast, how do we get more people on bikes? How do we better participate in the community? A lot of those really good ideas come from you guys. Like Spring Fondo in 2019 was not Doug and I's idea. We were just lucky enough to be a part of it with Joe and Pete and amazing people that put on a great event that we lended our name to and put some promotion behind. So if you have feedback, good or bad, if you have guests that you want us to talk to, if you have critiques of the show, if you have things that you think we should be a part of, send us a contact form, get a hold of us on Facebook, Twitter, whether it's the Gravel Lot or Doug or I personally. Just get involved, be a part of this, and also tune in every Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Streamlabs, so you can be a part of that AMA, which is coming up directly.
Many thanks to Wadaboy for our new intro and outro music, Super Kicks. We love it. So make sure to hit up all the show notes and get with him for more good jams. So, Tyler, how you doing?
Doing great.
Okay, good. John, how you doing?
Peachy.
Okay, fantastic. So, AMA time. You ready? We got some questions from Pebbles. So, first one. Outside of Texarkana, where is your favorite bridge?
Favorite bridge? Well, man, there's a few, but I'd have to say the one nearest and dearest to my heart is probably in the in this part of Michigan, right down here.
He's talking about
that's
the pad of the thumb.
Yeah, the pad of the thumb for anyone that doesn't have the visual.
Yeah, however it goes. I've learned since then. Right about here. That's the one nearest and dearest to my heart.
It's a very important one. And if anyone doesn't know where that is, please reach out to Mr. David Pallet.
Okay.
GPS coordinates.
Yes. Is it true that Spinal Tap is lined up to play live at the flyover at World Championships?
I can neither confirm nor deny, and I definitely can't confirm. So I guess I can't deny it either. But.
If they are, we know what level every amp will be turned up to.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure.
All right. So this is important. I want to put this one, John, before the next one. I want to put the one behind that before the next one, because you are the purveyor of the Flamingo Pro Tips. That is the thing. So how did that come to be, and where did they go?
So how that came to be was actually the first year that I met JB Hancock. We were friends on the internet, and he asked me to if I would like to come to his race in Alma, Michigan, and teach a clinic, and then hang out for his little bike race to kick off the Michigan CX series. And I disregarded everything my parents told me about getting in vans with strangers, and I flew to Michigan. And
JB is the exception to that rule. I think it's important to state that.
Yeah.
Thank you for providing that. I don't want to disparage his name by any means, but so while we got there, got all kitted up, he was just going to kind of show me around, and we happened to go over to the course, and we're checking out the sand pit, and I don't remember how it came up. I think there were some flamingos that were placed there by Doug Knieper or someone. I'm not exactly sure who.
Flat Doug.
Probably Doug. And I just decided that, this would be a funny picture. So I put my bike in the sand behind the flamingos and proceeded to, in a calendar position. If you've seen my rider card, that is it. I just struck a pose that came to me in the moment, and that happened to be the one. And yeah, that's kind of how just started from there. Started with the clinic, giving pro tips, if you will, as part of JB's thing, and then just adopted full-heartedly the flamingo aspect of it. I have a flamingo shirt on right now. I grew up in Southwest Florida, so the connection there is pretty cool. So I just took it and ran with it, and I've been trying to figure out how GoPros work as of late. So where have they gone? Yeah, trying to figure out how that works, and also video editing, and also trying to remember now to not let good get in the way of perfection. So hopefully more coming soon.
This is perfect because the follow-up to that question is from JB himself. So, and it's a whole paragraph. So, and we've had him on the show. Anyone that's still watching this, go back, listen to that show, because
what's up with
what I'm about to read is such a perfect representation of how his brain works. Okay, so I always get confused. Are they Flamingo Pro Tips ? Or Flaming GoPro Tips ? Or am I just mishearing you and it's actually something about goats on fire ? Or GoPros on fire ? Or is it about that fire festival thing ?
I know it's definitely not about the fire festival. I have not watched it.
Great documentary, by the way. If you ever are on board for a train wreck, it is a fantastic watch.
Oh, it's sad.
I got a couple weeks to kill before the next Formula One race comes on, so maybe it'll enter in the queue, I guess. And nor do I have. I mean, hey, GoPro, if you want to get on board, then
yes,
I'm up for it, and we can make this flaming GoPro tips. But no, it's Flamingo Pro Tips. The got to put the emphasis on the right syllable.
Yes.
And Flamingo Pro Tips is what we're going with.
Yes.
And, all right. So,
you and I can talk later about setting up GoPros and editing video and things like that. I got you, boo boo.
John's your dude for sure. So, since we're talking about things that may be on fire, otherwise that
transitions, yes.
So, flaming hot Cheetos,
or regular
puffs or crisps. Which one? Do you want flaming or hot or regular Cheetos?
I want regular. Although I have tried a flaming hot, but I have to be in the right mood for flaming hot. So I'm just gonna go with regular.
There was
regular.
There was something somewhere that Amanda and I ate recently. Oh, it was on sushi. They use crumbled up flaming hot Cheetos as
like tempura.
Yes,
top.
tempura.
Like,
yes. Yeah, I was like, this is a sushi place for me.
It's right up my alley.
Man.
All right, so now do you want the puffy ones, the soft puffy ones, or do you want crispy ones? Like, do you want Cheetos or cheese puffs?
Am I eating for volume or for experience?
This is Cheetos. It's always about volume. Isn't the whole bag? Isn't the whole bag a serving? Like, isn't that what we're talking about?
Size around here.
Yeah, it's whatever is in front of me is the serving size.
I love the puffs personally. The little, like, looks like a carrot. It makes me feel healthy because I'm like, oh, these are just cheesy carrots, right? I'm just talking these in over the crunchy. The crunchy ones, they're all like in your hand and they're crumbled up. It's like,
all right.
Like
I want fire and I want crunchy. So I'm on the opposite.
But there's something to be said for we're gonna get real nerdy. The mouthfeel of the puff one, like putting it in your mouth and like squashing it. There's just something very satisfying. But
you are probably those people that eat those packing peanuts that they say are like
those are circus peanuts.
Yeah, no. The packing peanuts that come in boxes.
See, that's
biodegradable cornstarch. That's basically what you're eating when you're eating that crap.
That shows you what I think of circus peanuts when you say styrofoam. That's what. But no, I'm regular, and I'm the smaller ones. I'm not as much of a fan of the puffy ones, even though I just said that they're fun to eat.
I found out that I'm a very textural eater. In terms of like flavor, I'm like, I mean, I like flavor, but like we'll be eating and be like, what's that taste? And I'm like, I don't know, but like I'm a textural eater. So like, have you guys thought about this? Yeah. I don't know. It's salad, whatever, but it's got crunch to it. So I love it. Whatever that is.
You're like, what's that taste? I don't know. It's sandpaper. It's just, it feels that way on my gums. It's weird.
It feels really good once it hits your lips.
I don't know. This is something that I think my wife gets really annoyed at me for, because like she's a very picky eater and she loves food and she loves the whole experience of making it, tasting it, understanding why something tastes and looks the way that it does. But the flip side of that is she is averse to things based on mouthfeel. So she's a vegetarian, which makes it very difficult to eat with her in certain places because she doesn't eat mushrooms because they're like, she calls them goopy. That doesn't really, I'm just like, it's food. I kind of want to like, I either want to eat it or I don't. And I've never like, I might have to come back to that one in terms of like, is it about flavor or is it about the texture?
So if we're going to be on texture and flavor, this is the perfect moment, right? Because this is the actual question that we have had on the show before: crunchy or smooth peanut butter? Because that's purely about texture.
Are you guys coming? Are you guys still there? Can you? I didn't quite get that. You keep breaking up. What'd you? No,
that's what happens when we ask the hard questions.
It's not coming through.
Yeah, don't. All right, fine.
It's not coming through.
Next like one. All peanut butter.
I don't. Man. It's like I never. Is it? I can't. It's like I can't choose. I can't choose between them. Not just because they're both equally delicious, but also because I would feel the wrath of one of the Hermans, and I'm at this point, I'm not sure which one would be worse. So I don't want to feel either.
If it's about wrath, always pick Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah, because but here's the thing, no matter which thing you pick, and I think you're wise to remain agnostic here, you will get heckled the next time you roll through a start finish line and they are announcing that's what would happen for sure. Well, this
purveyor of Flamingo Pro Tips and lover of creamy peanut butter. Can you guys believe that out there? Yeah. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay, so follow up to that. Are you brand loyal to peanut butters? Like, are we Jif or Skippy?
So I actually eat almond butter. I don't know why. So I don't have brand loyalty, but Trader Joe's, I love it. But also Justin's, not doing a plug for them.
Right.
That stuff's just delicious.
Yeah.
So
I buy those little squeezy packets and I take those on rides because I just want I just ate a whole glob of peanut butter.
Yeah.
Or almond butter. It's good stuff.
We did just go grocery shopping the other day, and I picked off some of the Biscoff cookie butter, which Trader Joe's does sell, and they do have a crunchy version, which is really good too. But I eat that shit by the spoonful. Like I'm like, oh, just a little dab, and then one for the road all the time.
All right, I'm gonna have to check that out. I'll make a special.
Hey, you got me thinking about like Trader Joe's has the best their house branded hummus. Oh my god.
Snacks are on.
And then they have we'll get that with they have like this like garlic pita bread. It is like it's the quickest way to get to like 4,000 calories in like 15 minutes on the couch.
Here's my thing. The Trader Joe's in Cincinnati is on a notoriously crappy road to get to. Like from my house, I got to do like 6 turns and it's real stupid. So I just don't want to go there because it's real annoying to try to get there. Like John knows because he comes the same way. Go straight up my street up to the top and then like a bunch of and it's just real hard to get to. So Trader Joe's
and it's in one of those parking lots that has like there's always 100 cars that want to be there and it has like 40 spots.
75 spaces.
Yeah. And the spots are all like 3/4 size. Like it's not actually for a full size vehicle.
And they're all for like and they're all filled with Priuses and Subarus.
Yeah. I just drive on top of it.
Monster truck
lifted.
Excuse me.
All right, so Flat Doug, our friend Doug Nieper has a question for you. 2 questions. Number 1, are you planning on defending your Alma GP title this year?
It's on the docket. I haven't made definitive plans for racing just yet, but it is on the list of potential. I would love to.
COVID's still a thing. People are still dealing with all that stuff. So we got to get past that. Okay. So number two, I think this one's more important. Have you cooked anything other than steak in your sous vide?
Other than steak?
Other than steak.
Oh yeah, cooked salmon. I think I've cooked chicken in there before as well. But the steak came out real good from the sous vide. I had never. I've tried to get more into cooking in 2020. Speaking of hobbies, and steak has always been one of those things that's like, it's very touchy.
Yeah,
and
it's easy to do it wrong.
Yeah, and I think that's been a little daunting to me. So putting it in the sous vide and having it come out like chef's kiss was on point. Yeah, I probably lost a few vegan followers, but
it's okay. I'm just sitting here being glad that Doug had to ask that question because I had no idea how to pronounce it.
Sous vide.
Yeah, sous vide. Sous vide.
Sous vide. Uh-huh.
Okay, last one, and this is one that I thought of when we were talking about it because we got excited talking about the ride and didn't actually dive into this. But since we're talking about athletic brewing, this is your chance to share your favorites, but also kind of give the listeners an idea of all of the different options.
Tasting notes.
So what is your favorite?
My favorite one is actually one that they're now producing all the time, and it is the Free Wave Hazy IPA. So this one, it was just a special release that they did, but they started brewing it year round now.
You're talking Doug language now.
Yeah, they have all different types of beers. I mean, that right now, I think on their website, because I just ordered some earlier, they have a wit beer that they came out with. They have porters and stouts, which, sometimes when you drink a porter or a stout, it's really heavy and you can only drink one. Like these, probably because they don't have the alcohol, or I don't know, they have some special sauce. It doesn't sit on your palate, doesn't make you feel full. But they've got everything from, they've got like a Cerveza Atletica, which is a Mexican lager, to
good Mexican lager.
Yeah, those are good, easy drinking. The Run Wild IPA is another favorite. They've got some golden ales, and just check out their website. They're always coming out with new beers. They're craft brewers, so they're coming out with new concoctions, and I think they have on their website basically a subscription club like Dan has, where you can be able to get into the latest and greatest of whatever's rolling out and get to taste it before it's released and get exclusive access.
That's a fun idea.
I will be completely honest. I've been following them on Instagram for like almost 2 years, and their distribution a couple years ago was not as good as it is now. And I just need to pull the trigger and order some of their stuff, because good God, I drink a shit ton of beer and I don't always feel great in the morning. So I really kind of need to possibly do this. So
and for me, I've noticed this, that I've never been even at my peak of when I was 19. I was never a good beer drinker, even and now it's have one or two and wake up with a headache or something. So it's the idea. I love the idea of the craft piece of it and being able to taste different things, but it's I don't know if I'm just out of practice and out of shape in terms of my alcohol consumption.
John, there is definitely a learning curve.
But it's I want to be able to experience those things and taste those things, but I just I don't drink beers right now, and I don't make mixed drinks because I'm just I don't want to feel even if it's just for a half hour when I wake up, I just don't want to feel like shit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way where I would, you have one and then all of a sudden it turns into two, and those are two 8.5% beers, and then goodbye Sunday, because it's gonna be a slow start. And it's not, I'm not, I like it for sure. We have it at the house just to have on hand, because sometimes there's not it's not a good time to drink beer at, as much as everybody's like, oh yeah, let's have a Zoom happy hour. Maybe like having one at 11 a.m. isn't the best idea.
Well, I mean,
So,
it just depends. It just depends, what you got slated for the rest of the
yeah.
day. If you're like, I'm gonna have this
Exactly.
beer at 11 a.m. and then take a 3-hour nap, then that might be okay. But yeah.
That works out just fine. But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love, like I said earlier, I love drinking local beers. I love being able to just sample the local flavors and have some good craft beers. So it's not that I drink exclusively this. It's just I like it, especially when I'm looking to perform or I gotta be.
Yeah.
I got chores scheduled for the rest of the day.
And isn't it that even though it's technically a non-alcoholic, because I had this conversation with Amanda's dad, because every now and then he'll want like an O'Doul's or something. Even though it's technically non-alcoholic, there's still like 0.1 or something.
Yeah, it's
alcohol, right?
I think it says it's less than 0.5%.
Yeah, it's
by
like
volume.
it's like kombucha, right? Like same idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're fermenting it, you can't get it all.
Yeah, there has to be some, but yeah, that's why I'm always it's science.
And they've actually got an organization that they work with, or called 2 for the Trails, or a campaign that they're doing called 2 for the Trails, and it says here on the can, 2% of all sales go to restoring local trails all across the U.S. And so, I mean, if you're about your local trails, order 2 6-packs, and at least you have it around, or give it to your friends or something like that, because they're a company that's doing good things with what they're, not only just with their beer, but also with their with the proceeds that they get from it.
I love it. I think this is like, we love companies that do that, and I'm glad that they're working with you, and obviously they've got a good mission and they're doing something cool, and keep it in your arsenal, folks. Like,
and different, and it's different. It's different. Everybody's a craft brewer now, but like the fact that it is different, and it is something that's placing them differently because of like I just said, like I love experiencing all of those things. Like I don't like necessarily the high IBU beers, but like that doesn't mean that I don't want to try them. But the drawback to those is generally that they're like 8, 9, 10%, and I'm like,
John needs a stretcher.
I need an adult anytime I have like half of one. Like I need help.
Yeah, for sure. It's yeah.
Well, you know what? We are hoping that here in the following calendar year that we all get to share, whether it's an athletic beer or an athletic brewing company beer, or just a real like alcoholic beer, that we can do so in person in the upcoming year with you, Tyler. This has been super awesome. Man, we got to spend, it sucks to not hang out with people, but it's good to hang out with people. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks so much for the opportunity to join you guys again. I've definitely missed seeing y'all and the rest of the cycling family at races or at events. But I'm really looking forward to hopefully getting to do that again in the next few months, hopefully sooner rather than later. And for sure, looking forward to cracking a couple open next time we all get together.
And I would also like to personally apologize to you, because we were supposed to talk on the phone and then my brain got the better handle of me last week. So that's okay. On me. But it is what it is.
That's all right. You just know that you're my second favorite Gravel Lot host from now on. That's fine. Until you redeem yourself.
It's fine. Hey, you gotta be in a pecking order someplace. So it's just so well, thanks, Tyler, for being here. We appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
And Pebbles, that's all for this week. So be sure to subscribe, follow, and engage, because as you know, decisions and trails are made by those who show up. So if we don't see you on the trails this week, we'll see you next time. Bye, John.
Bye, Doug.
Thank you.